Everyone in the restaurant froze, forks midair. Conversations cut short as the millionaire in the red suit screamed at another helpless waiter. No one dared to interfere. The staff called him the tyrant in Armani. But on that stormy Thursday evening, a new waitress arrived, and everything to prove. By the end of the night, she wouldn't just serve justice, she'd serve him his own words on a silver platter. Subscribe now for the most jaw-dropping, emotional, and powerful real-life stories that hit like a punch and leave you speechless. Asterisk at La Rose Noire, the finest upscale restaurant tucked into the heart of the city. The clink of wine glasses and the murmur of soft jazz used to create a luxurious atmosphere. But beneath the surface, tension simmered every night because of one man. His name was Charles Kensington III, a self-made tech mogul, worth billions, known across town, not just for his venom. He wore his power like a weapon, an expensive suit of armor lined with arrogance, entitlement, and cruelty. Every week, Charles would storm into La Rose Noire like he owned the place, demanding a table even when none were available, barking at staff, throwing food back at the chefs, and humiliating servers for the smallest mistake. He once made a young busboy cry just because his water glass had a fingerprint. "Do you expect me to drink like a peasant?" he roared, his voice cutting through the silence of the restaurant like a knife. People were terrified of him. The restaurant manager, Gregory, had tried to reason with him once, only once, and ended up nearly losing his job after. Charles threatened to buy the restaurant just to fire him. So now they let him walk in, treat everyone like garbage, and leave a fat tip as if money could erase cruelty. Staff came and went, unable to endure the abuse. Regulars shifted uncomfortably in their seats when he entered. New hires were always warned, "Don't cross, Charles." But on one unforgettable evening, the rules changed. Her name was Maya. She had just moved to the city, a confident 28-year-old with a quiet strength, an unshakable sense of justice, and a fire that no amount of intimidation could extinguish. Raised in a tough neighborhood, Maya had served food in greasy diners, cleaned offices at night, and had once single-handedly saved her younger brother from a violent street gang. She knew fear, and she had long decided it would never control her again. Her first day at La Rose Noire was the same Thursday Charles always dined in. As she adjusted her apron, Gregory approached her with wide eyes. "Avoid table 6, he whispered. "That's Charles Kensington. If he snaps his fingers, you run. If he insults you, you smile. If he spills wine on you, you thank him." Maya blinked, confused. "You serious?" she asked, deadly. Gregory's voice was firm. "You don't want to be the reason the restaurant ends up on his blacklist. But Maya wasn't wired that way. That night, she was assigned to cover tables 5 through 8. When she approached table 6 and saw the man in the blood-red suit tossing a glass of wine into a plant because it wasn't the right shade of red, she raised an eyebrow. "I'll be your server tonight," she said evenly. Charles didn't even look at her. "Took you long enough," he muttered. "Bring me the house special. And tell your kitchen rats not to screw it up this time." The air was thick with tension. Maya inhaled slowly and walked away, not out of fear, but to observe, to assess. She wasn't going to let him win. Not yet. Not without understanding why this man wielded money like a sword. Because she didn't believe monsters were born, they were made. Asterisk. The week that followed was one of whispered warnings and sideways glances. Maya became a mystery to the rest of the staff. She didn't flinch when Charles snapped his fingers. She didn't bow when he shouted. She served him calmly, coolly, meeting his sarcasm with steady eyes and deadpan replies. But she wasn't reckless, not yet. She watched how others had been broken by his words. The hostess, Lila, had once been humiliated over a missing reservation. The chef had nearly quit after Charles declared his risotto inedible slop. No one had stood up to him. But Maya had a plan. And then came the night of the explosion. Figuratively, not literally. The restaurant was at full capacity. A rainstorm drummed against the windows, and Charles had already sent back 2 plates. When Maya arrived with his third, a flawlessly presented duck confit, he shoved the plate aside with theatrical disgust. "Do you call this art?" he barked. "It looks like roadkill garnished with weeds. Are you blind or just stupid?" Gasps rippled through the room. Even Maya blinked, thrown for a split second. But then she straightened her shoulders. Her voice didn't rise. It didn't tremble. She placed the plate back on the table and leaned in, her tone icy, calm. "Sir, with all due respect, the kitchen spent 40 minutes crafting this dish for you. I watched every detail. I served it because it's perfect. If you don't like it, that's your opinion. But if you insult me or the kitchen staff again, I will personally walk you out." Silence. Complete, choking silence. Charles's face contorted into something between rage and disbelief. No one had spoken to him like that. "Do you know who I am?" he hissed. "Oh, I know," Maya said. "You're the man who thinks money replaces manners, who believes tipping well buys him the right to mistreat people. But it doesn't. Not anymore." Gregory looked like he might faint. Other guests were frozen. Some were even recording. But Maya didn't care. She'd had enough. Charles stood abruptly, knocking over his wine. The glass shattered. "You're fired," he roared. "Tonight, you're done." Maya didn't even blink. "I don't work for you," she said. "I work with dignity. And you don't get to take that from me." Charles stormed out, his designer shoes splashing through the rain outside as the door slammed shut behind him. The restaurant remained still for a moment, then suddenly erupted into quiet applause. Not loud, not chaotic, just pure, grateful, awe-filled appreciation. Gregory walked over, stunned. You just did what no one's ever dared." Maya smiled softly. "Someone had to." But the story wasn't over. The video went viral. Someone had uploaded the confrontation to social media with the title, "Waitress Silences Arrogant Billionaire in Restaurant Showdown." Within hours, it had racked up millions of views. Comments flooded in, praising Maya's courage, slamming Charles's behavior, calling for accountability. But there were unexpected consequences, too. Charles's PR team was in chaos. Sponsors pulled out of his next product launch. A charity gala rescinded his invitation. His reputation, built over a decade, was cracking. He issued a weak apology. Online, blaming stress, travel, a bad day. No one bought it. A week passed, then two. Maya kept working. People came into La Rose Noire just to see her. Some tipped hundreds, others simply whispered, "Thank you." She became a quiet hero. But then, one evening, Charles returned. No red suit, no entourage, just him, pale, quieter, and holding something wrapped in cloth. Gregory nearly tripped. When he saw him, "He's back," he warned. Maya looked up calmly. "Let him come." Charles approached her table slowly. There was no fire in his eyes, only something unfamiliar. "Regret, Miss Maya," he said, voice low. I was wrong, deeply wrong. I've spent my whole life thinking money made me better. It didn't. It made me blind. I came to say thank you, and I'm sorry." He placed the cloth on the table and unwrapped it, a handwritten letter and a check. Not to Maya, but to the restaurant. Enough to fund employee health coverage. For 2 years, not a bribe, he said. A start. Maya didn't smile. Not yet. "Apologies mean nothing without change," she said. "I'll be watching," he nodded. "I hope you do." And with that, he left. Maya stood taller than ever. Not because she'd won, but because she reminded everyone of something more important than fear. Dignity. The staff watched her, inspired. Gregory later promoted her to supervisor. And Charles, he never became perfect. But the next time he dined, he said, "Please," he said, "Thank you." And he looked every server in the eye. Because of one waitress who refused to be silenced. TOACT. This story moved you. If you believe in standing up, even when it's hard, and in kindness over cruelty, subscribe now. These aren't just stories. They're reminders of who we can become when we stop being afraid.